This week, episode 358 of Stogie Geeks, Drew Nelson, the internet sensation, and myself interviewed Jeff Gaston of GSTN Cigar. They are located in southeastern Nebraska. We get to hear his story about some super cool products. Exciting tidbits about Jeff. We're going to help guide him on his tasting journey. We're going to have cigar recommendations for him. You got to stay tuned later on in the interview to figure that out. Visit GSTNcigar.com. And in the second segment, Nelson has news, of course, and we have the sticks of the week. Stogie Geeks, thank you for watching. We are happy to be here. It's Friday. Stogie Geeks episode 358 starts right now.
This is a Security Weekly production. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where cigars burn slow, ashes fall fast, and cocktails flow steady. It's the Stogie Geek Show. Welcome everyone to the Stogie Geek Show. Joe and I are already silly.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Hozempa, a.k.a. Joe Hollywood, is here with me in studio.
I'm fired up. So we also have remote Drew, who is remote over in Texas. Look at you. You got some Stogie Geek swag going on in the background.
Got my banner.
Where are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm all set up for the Stogie Geek mobile lounge.
Confidence. Confidence isn't walking into a room with your nose in the air, thinking you're better than anyone else. It's walking into a room and not having to compare yourself to anyone in the first place.
Havana Cigar Club, located in Warwick, Rhode Island, is a great place to enjoy a drink and a cigar. Stogie Geeks listeners can find a $5 off coupon on our website by clicking the HCC logo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stogie Geeks episode 358. I am your host, Joe Hozempa. Super happy to be here. We got an action-packed show. As always, sticks of the week, reviews, and commentary. Nelson has some riveting news for our super cool, awesome industry. That will be in segment 2. But first, I want to introduce you to my little dark-haired kid from Texas, Mr. Drew Galvin.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, man?
It's been a whole, week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
I caught up.
Weeks.
I caught up with all the honeydews, all the, day job work that needed to be done, testing and whatnot, continuing education credits and all that other fun stuff. So, we're talking about everybody gets COVID shots here on Monday, so everybody's excited. Some people are not excited. People are excited to get their second one so they can get their Krispy Kreme donuts because, you get a free Krispy Kreme donut every day if you take both shots. So the World Health Organization has said, no, that's not a good idea because by the end of the year, people could gain another 15 pounds. So that's the big news here in Texas.
There you go.
What about you guys?
Well, there you go. All right, next week we talk. No, I'm looking. And joining me in studio is the internet sensation, pioneer of they're not airwaves, they're net waves, future Mr. I lost my password again for my email, Mr. Nelson DeMello.
It was only twice.
Internet sensation.
What's up, Stogie Geeks? I missed the last 2 weeks. That last episode was awesome, episode 357, talking about the Cuban cigars. I am pumped from today's show as well. I don't like this having a hiatus. I miss all you guys. We got Jeff. I'm pumped to hear it. I'm pumped to hear all the bullshit Joe's going to slip at us. It's going to be a great show.
Easy there.
What?
Oh, all the bull crap. All right, now you sound like McAuliffe, right? Anyway, Nelson was so hopped up on drugs, he didn't realize that he was here on episode 357 and sat here in studio.
I was pretty sick that day.
You
yes.
were. So Nelson that was here 2 weeks ago, but it's good. We still missed you. You didn't say much, actually.
I was quiet. I didn't smoke that day.
Best show ever. Anyway, I want to introduce you to our guest again. Drew Nelson and myself have the privilege and the honor to interview Jeff Gaston of GSTN Cigar. They are located in rural southeastern Nebraska. Interesting story. GSTN Cigar was established in September of 2020 after Jeff complained about the design of an ashtray that his wife gifted him. This is going to be a great episode. Can't wait to hear that story, right? Then she told him, well, why don't you just build your own? And then the company was born. GSTN Cigar produces handcrafted cigar ashtrays from woods such as walnut, Appalachian maple, northern pine, and curly cherry. They sell both domestically and internationally. Two interesting facts about Jeff is that he only has one eye due to glaucoma, and he lost most of his taste buds when he was a child, which makes finding the right cigar a true journey. Before I introduce Jeff, this is what I am actually talking about right here. You have the you have the logo. I have my super cool name right over here. It's a cell phone holder, an ashtray, and holds your drink. I actually been using this. Here has his logo on the back. Truly a treasure piece. We are going to talk about this product and others, but Jeff, it can fit the Alec Bradley lighter in there as well. Visit them at gstncigar.com. Jeff, welcome to Stogie Geeks.
That was quite the intro.
I try.
No, it's good to be here. It's good. I worked all morning. I was looking forward to this so I could just stop. I was watching my clock, and it's like my daughter, she's 18 months old, and she had me up at, I don't even know. It was 4 or something. And I was like, okay, well, just
something like
work.
that. Yeah, that's the time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yep. I have a 2.5-year-old, and kid 2 is coming May 5th, scheduled. I'm in your world, man. And it's amazing how it doesn't matter what time it is because kids don't wear a watch.
No. And daylight savings is
brutal on them. Yes.
I thought it was bad. I've always had a dog. I always thought it was bad with dogs. And it's like I had a kid. It's the same thing. When people say oh, dogs are not, animals are not like kids. Yes, they are. It's the same thing. It's just my daughter shits inside. Well, my dog did too, but.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, because we are going to give you some tasting advice to talk about finding the good cigar. So Drew and Nelson start getting some cigars in your head as well. We're gonna wrap up with that. Maybe we can give you some kid tips because Nelson has a couple of whippersnappers now who are in the teenagers. Oh yeah, and it's funny because when I talk about my kid and Nelson, it's still the same. So it tells me that even when they're a teenager, it's not gonna change.
It's worse because they talk back.
Great. So anyway, this is going to be a very, very interesting show. But I do want to take the time out. I have to hear the story about the wife gift. How that happened, how she said to just build your own. It's truly a masterpiece here for you Stogie Geeks who are just listening. If you go to stogiegeeks.com, you can see the wooden masterpiece that I am talking about and that Jeff is going to describe. But take us through that. I don't like my ashtray. Thank you for the gift. How did that work out for you? Do you still have the ashtray?
Are you still married?
Are you still married? Good, great question. Great question.
Well, okay. First off, for those of you on video, I always say when people come over to my house and my shop, they probably are just this guy is the worst woodworker ever, because whenever I do a new piece and it has problems, they always have problems, I keep that one. So I'm smoking on, this is the first one that I made, and you can look at the difference. I had to hand carved all of this back then because I just didn't have, I didn't no clue what I was doing. So it's come a long ways. But if you come over and I go and they say, oh yeah, that's what he makes. It's oh God, that's what he makes. But so basically, I'll start off the story that I have been divorced once and clearly have not learned to control my words in the second marriage. So I am still married, but didn't learn my lesson. But basically, she had gotten me a cigar ashtray off of Etsy, I think. And when I was smoking it, in Nebraska, she got it for me for Christmas. I literally couldn't even use it till like Father's Day just because it's so cold here. And I went outside and I just every 2 seconds I was like, why would they make this like this? Why would they put that there? No one would ever use it. I don't even know where the thing's at. I have so many just that I made laying around, and I just kept complaining about it, kind of not to her, but out loud to her. And then she just said, well, why don't you just shut the fuck up and go make one, is basically was the quote. So, and my dad was, we build everything. I mean, my dad's he's like 50 or no, he's 60 and he works, 2-3 jobs around the clock and there's no reason to. He lives by himself. And that's just all that I know is how to build everything. So I went down in my basement and made one. And I literally just got an Instagram just from demand. And all I had for social media was Snapchat. And I just put a photo up that said, hey, isn't this cool? Like I made this and I don't have to have my phone because I've listened to so much music is why I put that phone thing in there. And then somebody said, well, hey, can I buy it? And I'm like, yeah. And then they ask you how much. It's like, I have no idea. And then I was without one. I made another one and then it just kept happening. And I told my wife, like, I think I might have something here that I don't even know about. And I put them up on Etsy to start, and then it just took off. The company actually started in September last year, and we sold about 340. And every time a sale would come through, I would just be, I would be like, what is happening right now? It's just taken off. I fell into it by accident.
Yeah, no, that's an honest answer. It's amazing what people search for on the internet and what people are willing to buy on the internet, and which is why I tell retailers to put the shit in their store on the internet. And what's amazing is that you don't have to carve a piece of wood until they paid you on the internet.
Yep.
And if you ever need help Instagram audience growing, Nelson at StogyGeeks.com is the place to go. He is just like blowing up on the internet. Nuclear. All right, Drew. Shoot, give us a question.
Go ahead. I'm going to wait until this guy's done cutting his yard. For some reason, he decided to cut his yard.
Drew has Juan cutting his grass, as we heard in the intro, so he's going to do that. Hey, at least he's aware. At least it's not like when we had Russ on the program. He was at a golf course, and the guy was cutting the grass the whole episode. And Johnny's like, dude, this is an editing nightmare.
Well, it's funny. The people can't really see everything we see, but Jeff's talking, and I'm out of the corner of my eye. I see Drew, and his arms are waving, and you can tell he's pissed off. He's yelling at somebody. You yelling at your neighbor? Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, I was just letting him know, hey, can't you pick a couple hours later to do that? But he said he had to get it done now because it's going to rain again. And the guy's retired. The guy's retired.
Real world problems right here.
75 years old.
Yeah.
And he just wants. I guess his wife kicked him outside and told him to go do something. So
well, at least
he's on the other side of his property at this point. So we're good.
Okay, cool. So anyway, Jeff.
But I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm on Etsy right now, and I'm checking out these ashtrays. They're fire. I guess that's the word, right? Is that right, Nelson?
Yeah,
fire.
Yeah,
fire
Jeff. I told Joe his hat was fire today. Jeff, your shit is fire. Like I went over. You can ask Joe before the show. I went over there like twice to look. I'm like, let me look at that thing again. Like I think the quote I use is, I like how you use the real estate. Right? It's what is it? A 7x9?
Yeah. What's funny was when I started kind of incorporate, because I do have a background in manufacturing. So when I started, I had bought, like, I'm talking the tiniest CNC machine. It had like a working area of like a notebook.
Yeah.
And so for the small pieces that I could get in there, I had to use every little bit to make it worth the money or do it like all these awkward angles. So I sent one to influencer on Instagram, and she had this whole list of stuff that came back of like, I would do this and this. And it's like, well, yeah, but then it would cost this, this, and this. Like, there are bigger ones coming. But when I started to reach, I wanted to have a combination of a low price point for people to afford them and have something that they would like want to show off, like cherished, instead of just the plastic ones that everybody gets because they're $1.
Yeah.
Well, I think in looking at yours, the reason I go back to, I like how you utilize the real estate in that 7x9 footprint is it really is. It's a one finger cigar, right? A one stick cigar. It's for me. It's for one person, right? But the beauty is I have my cup holder. I have my space for my phone, right? I have my ashtray. It's designed for one person. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I think what you're saying, so did you end up with the size initially more because of the tools you had than intentionally having that size?
It's a combination of things. Like when I talk to other people who do woodworking and they say, I'm working on this project and that, and it's going to be this size. I say, well, how did you get to that number? And there really is, well, I just wanted it to be this. And it's like, well, have you looked at how much it costs to ship it? I always tell people, if you're going to make something, you need to start it. What box is it going to fit into to ship? Because especially like when you deal with the post office, a half an inch can literally double your shipping price.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a combination of things. I start with the box and then I start with what's comfortable. Like I have a couple of ones that I have made that have never come out because they just don't feel like if the price point is say $55, when I lift it up, I'm like, this does not feel like $55 to me. It should feel, somebody should get it and say, look how awesome this is. Not this thing cost me $55.
Yeah, no, that's all great points. But when I received mine, I was like, wow, it looks way better than it does on the internet on the site, yeah. Right? And it's just it's super cool, right? And it's one of those things with the finish that you use, like it's gonna last forever, like it will literally last forever.
Yeah, I actually have. That's a common question that comes up a lot: is how durable are they? And I have one that I have left out since when I started. I have left it out on the deck every day. It fills with water, it fills with snow, everything, the Nebraska weather, and it's still holding up. I mean, it's going to fade like everything else if you leave it out there 24/7. But as far as the durability, I mean, you can literally pick it up, pour the water out, and smoke. I mean, I smoke on it. I mean, the weather here sucks, so this is a good testing ground.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I was tinkering around with it. Right now, I have it on my desk, and when I have baby 2, it's gonna go on my deck. But my deck is covered, and I'm gonna take it home. But like I've been like tinkering around with it, and then kind of using it, and like saying, wow, this is such a super cool piece. Staring at the artwork, like where you put the piece of equipment in, and the detail, and it's super cool, and it really adds to the smoking experience. And obviously you can customize it and stuff like that. When I spoke to Jeff first thing I asked him is, does he also do this for the pipe tobacco industry as well? Because I had a friend long time ago, he still is my friend, but about 20 something years ago, he was a woodworker as well, and he made me a pipe stand that I have at my house. And again, it's just, that's how I know it's just gonna last. You know what I mean? It's super cool how he made it and all that stuff, and all the different detail. I think it's crafted very, very well. A lot better than the swag that people pass out at events, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say that to that was that durability is really, really construction is really important, because a lot of people get these ashtrays. We get them all the time, and they last not too long, maybe a year, and I'm ready to throw them out. And on top of that, butcher blocks or cutting boards, man, that's a good segment out here in Texas, man. People always order cutting boards that are nicely done and have a logo emblazoned on them. They're pretty cool. But yeah, I like that. Now, can you fit an iPad on there? Can you?
Some of them you can. Not every single one. Each one's kind of designed for a different environment. I know that I think it's a Walnut Puro can handle tablets. Some of them have open-ended slots where that way you can fit a phone vertically, horizontally, and a tablet. It's just like, sweet. I'll show you this. I'm literally on my workbench right now because my wife runs the house, so I can't smoke inside. But like, this is something that I've been working on, and this is for people who live in an apartment, and it's still like, it's got a lot of problems with it. But basically what you'll be able to do is you can still hold your glass and stuff, and it will have an ashtray up here. This is kind of a prototype. But then this, if you live in an apartment, your problem is always, where do I put the ash? So the ashtray is the ash holder, and then you can empty it from the bottom. There will be a cap that goes there. So It's something I've been working on, and that just came from before we moved into this house a couple months ago. We lived on a 3rd-story apartment in between houses. And for me to smoke outside, it was like, cool, but now what? Where do I dump this stuff without starting a fire?
Yeah. You mentioned it when we spoke. What's your day job? Hold on.
It's boring.
Your ultrasonic inspection of metal materials?
I went to college to be a non-destructive testing technician, which is, the easy way to say it is like a doctor for welds and materials. So my specialty is ultrasound, where just like when a pregnant woman gets their stomach ultrasound for the baby, you can do that into welds and any material. But most of my stuff is steel. So I use sound to penetrate the material to tell you, is there voids? Is the weld strong? Are we cracking? And then I also have to break stuff every day. So like when they use rebar in road construction, we break a lot of rebar, all the way up to diameters bigger than, my forearm, 2.5 inch, stuff like that. So it gets loud.
That's awesome.
So
I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to like metallurgy, understanding the welds. I actually just took a class on that because I'm in the automotive side, the collision side, and talking about welds and certifications and understanding that. It's pretty cool. So okay.
Yeah, you being down there in Texas, that's the money. Before I work for the state of Nebraska now doing that. Before I spent 10 years working on pipelines and building all the, in Texas, you see all the oil storage tanks. I built those. Nice. I was typically on the road 350 days a year for a solid decade. And it's the expertise is just, it's like that pipeliners always say the joke of, I've got 20 years experience, and they say, well, how? Because you're only 30, and you say overtime. And it could not be farther from the truth, because there is no other thing to do than work when you're in that oil and gas industry.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Nelson? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think he touched on it. I was just getting nerdy and curious about it. I would expect you probably have the customer base is probably a lot of municipalities and government agencies, I would think, because you're doing inspections and things like that. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. A lot of road construction is the biggest one, but bridges, things like that.
Yeah.
So I got another question. So are you still doing these by hand? A good majority of it, or have you got into? My dad, he passed away back in 2006, but his last 10 years of his life, or last 10 years, he when he retired, I don't know what he did, but all of a sudden, I know what he did. My stepmom called me one day. She goes, he's got all this woodworking shit all over the garage, and he's like building tables and chairs. And so, I mean, he bought like industrial, like routers, turning tools and whatnot. But so have you gone to that stage in this, to meet the demand I guess.
Yeah. Having the background in doing programming as well has helped, because when I started, I really just started. I wanted to get into hand carving, and looking back, it was funny how I was doing it, because I didn't have the big tools to do stuff like that. Like when I first started hand carving from actual trees, like they call it live edge, when you can see the bark. There's one sitting behind me that I'm about to do when we get done with this. But that is great, but they take a long time. So you either have a high price point, low output, or the opposite. So I upgraded to, I have 2 CNC machines now, but I would say 25% of it is done by hand. It's a lot of the bulk cutting is done to get cleaner lines. The engraving's done on the machines, obviously, but a lot of it is, or a quarter of it, I would say, is done by hand now.
Yeah, you're talking my language there. I was early on in my life. I learned how to program. I'd go into CNC machines. My dad worked for Boeing, so he was a tool and die maker. So and he taught me a lot about about CAD and understanding how to do the programming on CNC machines. We used to make a lot of cool stuff at his house, his home shop, because we would do like a lot of billet pieces and whatnot, and understanding like how to operate a water jet and how to program for those. So that's pretty cool. I like that. I like hearing that.
Yeah, it's funny. When I started, I had like I said, that tiny machine, and I remember thinking at the time, like, should I just go the step up and get the bigger one? And I didn't know this was going to turn into what it has turned into already. And so I just bought the smaller machine. And then when it got to a point to where I was basically pushing the machine past its point to try and keep up, I had to upgrade. But I am glad that I started with a smaller one, because even having, like I said, the backgrounds that I do, I have crashed that thing so many times. And it's to the point now where just the other night I was making supper, and like our shop is connected to my house. I just was cutting up meat and was like, oh shit, it ran outside. And my wife's like, how did you know that? And I was like, you can just tell. You can tell by the sound there's a problem. And it just had grabbed the piece and ripped it out of the clamps, and it was throwing it around like a Frisbee. So
well, there you go.
Well, if you go to your website, you got a lot of different designs, which I think is super cool. I'm glad you explained to me that you listen to a lot of music, because the piece that you sent me, I was like, oh, cool, it can hold your cell phone, but then my drink obstructs the view from my cell phone.
Yeah.
Right, and then I looked at your other piece, the Cabin Fever ashtray with large cell phone holder, cigar cutter holder with large drink holder, and I'm like, oh, he did put it on the opposite side of the ashtray there as well, and so that when you can watch whatever is on your phone and stuff like that, there too. I actually have it on my desk, and I put my phone for you Stogie Geeks who are watching. I put my phone up there, and then boom, and then it's all set. It's got the lighter. I can see if the phone rings. Super cool. I love like little stuff, trinket stuff like this.
Yeah, it's been. It sounds weird to say, I'm testing the cigar ashtray when I'm smoking, but I am, because that's exactly what happened. I listen to music. So I literally have a playlist that is for when I smoke cigars, because it's just like my dad was a DJ. I had a DJ company when I was a kid for 8-9 years.
Nice.
And so music is always my dad and me are the same. The project doesn't start until the music has started, and then you start working.
Yep.
So it was the same thing. What you just said, when I actually put it in there, I'm like, wow, I can't even watch a podcast because my drink is in the way.
I can't watch
so
Stogie
then it's
Geeks
like,
because the drink's
got to
in the way.
redo it.
That means you can't watch Stogie Geeks, so you're gonna have to drink more and then put something else in that cup holder, and then you'll be all set. See, I solved the world's problems. So, how's your dad feel about the work? Like, is he like, oh wow, like it's super cool, or is he just like, what the hell are you doing? It's my dad would be like, you're freaking taking him out of the garage, like.
my dad is full on white dad stereotype. Like when he lives maybe an hour south of me, and he had messaged me not too long ago, basically saying like, hey, I found this old stuff that I used to use when I was doing some projects. Do you want them? And I'm like, no, it's not really what I would use. You can just burn it or whatever he's going to do with it. But he came up here and he had no idea. Like when he saw the machines running and the vacuum system that runs through here and just the technology that's in here, he was taking pictures. It's like, I'm your son. I mean, this isn't like a factory that you can't come back to. You're here all the time. But he was like, oh, what vacuum is that? Like taking a picture of it. I'm going to buy that. And he was just blown away, which is like, you know, your goal is for your parents to be proud of you. So it was kind of like a good feeling at the time.
Yeah. And then your mom calls and says, you spent all this money on the equipment and he's taking a picture of your place. Quit showing that stuff to your father.
He's not coming over anymore.
He's not coming over anymore. Every time he comes over, it costs us thousands of dollars, right?
My mom, my younger brother, him and his wife, they own, it's called Buff City Soap. And it's like a soap store for like takes all the detergents and stuff out because they like my brother has really bad like eczema and stuff like that. And so I gave my dad hats and stuff like that. And then he gave my dad hoodies and shirts. And my mom saw that and she's like, oh, I'm glad I didn't get a single fucking thing from either of my boys, but dad gets all the stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like my house. You'd be like, you're fixing all that stuff over there. You know, oh yeah, you gotta love parents, of course.
My mom's the hard ass. Dad's the funny guy. Mom's the hard ass.
Oh man. Well, now you're doing some bigger projects. Explain to me, talk to us about some of that, so that if any like retail shops are listening, or if they wanted to do something for, I mean, I'm thinking like this makes a great like member gift for members. Right, so they could take home, have the shop logo as well, and you know maybe their member number or whatever. I'm just thinking outside the box, their name or whatever. But you know, you can do projects to scale now, and I want to drive that point across during this interview. You're not just hey, I can only do like 4 ashtrays a month and stuff like that. Like I want to make sure that the Stogie Geeks listeners, especially on the retail side, or they make great corporate gifts or something like that. Like they're super cool.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is listening to your customers. And what I always noticed on my reviews was fast shipping. Communication's the biggest one. Like you'll never not know when it's coming, what all that stuff. Because I always want to know that. So why wouldn't everybody else want to know that? But the shipping. So most of it is made like 4/5 of the way to completion, so that when you put the order in, it's we do it, boom, it's out the door. I mean, to keep up with production and stuff. Some of them are single day ship. And it's funny that you talk about those ideas. I just sent proofs off to a cigar company, and that's what they want to do is they want their logo. I have one, it's a big boy. Of an ashtray that I had sent them a photo saying, hey, I literally just coated this as a test piece. This is what it's going to look like. And they want to wholesale, or they want to sell them with their logo out of their shop and stuff. And I mean, yeah, you're exactly right. I run Sane Smart machines, which is a Japanese company, I believe, they're in America too. And they were pretty young when I started, which I know wasn't that long ago, but they have been expanding their machines so much in size that I'm pretty much growing as they're growing. So that's why we're starting to get like these bigger pieces, multiple people. One problem I ran into, like when you say, I'm good for myself. I'm a pretty loner. Like I'm a hermit. If I'm so used to being by myself from working on the road most of my life that I could go a year without talking to anybody and I would be fine with it. So all my ashtrays I started to notice were made for one person. And it's like, oh, I bet other people smoke with not just themselves like I do.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Have you lived in Nebraska all of your life?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I've lived in a lot of other cities during traveling, but my home has always been in Nebraska. I've pretty much always stayed in a smaller town.
Yeah, I gotcha. The reason why I'm asking, because Drew can appreciate this, on the back, for you Stogie Geeks that are watching over here, you have your beautiful logo and everything, but in the bottom, you got to put like "Made in Nebraska" or Nebraska, USA. Because you know damn well if Drew was freaking carving his piece, there'd be a freaking map of Texas on the back.
That's true. Right,
you know what I mean? You gotta, so you gotta represent like "Made in Nebraska, USA" or something, and then
I know
some corn stalks.
What's funny is if you look out my window where I'm at right now, I live next to a cornfield. And you can't even see the end of it.
Of course you do. You live in Nebraska. What the hell is that?
Yeah, I was being serious.
I'm not,
corn huskers.
Not being, we operate this show with the highest integrity, and it's like, of course you're in Nebraska. There's just ain't nothing else to do there but carve wood. I get it. You know what I mean? So, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Where's your nearest cigar shop near you, and how'd you get started into like the cigar? Not really scene, but how'd you get into cigars?
Nearest cigar shop for me, Lincoln is a half an hour. In Nebraska, time is equivalent to miles. If they say it's 30 minutes away, it's 30 miles away.
Yep.
That was something I learned the hard way when I used to work in Houston. 2 exits means 2 hours. I didn't understand that.
Wow.
That is so true.
But there's a pretty good amount. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 Lincoln's not that big of a town, even though it's our capital, but there's quite a few lounges and stuff like that. But I got started into cigars from working on the road around welders. I mean, it just seemed like if you didn't smoke cigarettes or chew, what's wrong with you? And I went through the chewing phase and it was all right, but I'm too much of a clean freak that I don't like spit bottles around. And right. It was one of those things where I had asked somebody that I worked with, what do you like about that? And they said, I said, I've tried cigars before, but I just don't like them. And he's like, oh, you've never had a good one. And I mean, he was right. I was smoking I didn't even know. And then once I got into it, I have to research stuff to the end of time. And then when I started to learn where, it comes from and the histories and the different levels and strengths and stuff like that, it's like, oh, wow, I really got into it big time. And then just really enjoyed, like I said, trying new ones because all I can really taste is spice. And it's got to be like really spicy. So I just enjoy, like if I find one and I go like, damn, like last night I found a bourbon that was actually made in Nebraska that I never heard of. And my first sip, I literally go, God damn, that's good. Like to my wife. And when she hears me say that, I mean, and she's like, wow, you can taste it. Cause usually it's just a liquid.
Yep. How'd that happen when you were little? That was one of the interesting tidbits about you. Like, because in the second segment we talk about sticks of the week. We talk about all of the nuances that we get out of each stick and what excites us. And if you watch enough episodes, you can freaking profile us as to what we like and whatnot. How does that work for you, or just something you've just lived with? And so when you're smoking a cigar, I guess it's what am I asking, Nelson? Help me out here.
No, I when I read your bio, I was thinking the same thing. It's like you smoke. I'm seeing you smoke now, and I'm like, do you normally get any flavor profile? Is it normally bland?
It's kind of easier to describe when I eat. So I lost the majority of them because I had year-round allergies, and like you can hear it now, like I always sound nasally, I always sound hoarse. It's just how I always am. And I mean, like my favorite thing in the summertime was to go to the pool because I could blow my nose underneath the water at any point.
Nice.
And actually come up and be like, oh my God, is this what real people, like this is what normal people do? They can breathe through their nose. But when you constantly breathe through your mouth every day, every hour, it just kills those taste buds because that's how it was explained to me. So, I mean, like last night I was making supper and kid was asleep. Wife was in the basement. When she came up, she had to open up the our back door of our kitchen door walks out to the patio. She had to open it up because the air was too spicy for her. So, I mean, it's just, but to me, I'm like, it's all right. If I start sweating here, like on my face, below my eyes, that's when I'm like, oh yeah, this is hot. But I can taste, like, I like a medium full because partially because of the buzz. But like whenever I see like a red pepper, white pepper, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Well, I saw earlier, right? I'm pretty sure I saw you retrohale earlier, right? So are you getting at least a stronger flavor profile when you do that?
Yeah.
So you do catch it on the retro.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
If I wasn't talking, I would probably retrohale every puff.
Yeah.
Because you're getting more okay.
Yeah. The only part it probably would affect him is, on the tail end of our retrohale, where it leaves the nose and it gets to the back of the palate, he probably doesn't get the total nuances on the back of the palate.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. But then I said, why am I going to answer his question? He was asked to him. See? Wow, I'm learning patience.
We don't need you, Jay.
I've tried, like any cigar review or something. I've tried to smoke with it and go through it. And as they're explaining, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. I'm like, okay, I can kind of pick it out because you're pointing it out, but I wouldn't be able to grab that.
Yep. Well, off the bat, if you're looking for sticks, I mean, I would say you'd have to be shy away from Connecticut's, right? From the you'd have to be in that either Maduro. Connecticut broadleaf could do something for you as well, but definitely region, it's got to be like Nicaraguan.
Well, it's funny, Joe, when you asked earlier, for Drew and I to think about stick, the first stick that came to my mind, and I think he mentioned pepper. I was thinking about the cigar of the year, the EP Carrero, the Pledge.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Like I remember writing a review about that. I called it a pepper bomb, right? I don't know if you've had it.
I haven't.
But it's a pepper bomb. Like if you don't get flavor out of that, then it's dead. Your palate's dead.
Yep.
Because that thing is strong with pepper for sure.
And if you're online and you pick up cigars online, anything from like Black Label trading would do you some justice on the palate.
What about flavored? I'm curious if you do infused cigars.
He's from Nebraska. He don't.
Well, I'm curious. But he's got the taste bud problem.
What's funny about that is I have like so many. I like the jar and the tub. I actually have like tub humidors, and I categorize them beyond. Like I have a book for each tub. It's stupid, but
so does Drew.
You're speaking my language, brother. You're speaking my language.
There's one that is it's all like flavored ones that I have bid on or bought to have when people come over, because some of my friends, they smoke cigars, but they won't go anything past like a really light flavor cigar. And every time I look at it, I'm like, it's almost like I'm afraid to smoke it because I'm afraid I'm going to like it. Huh. And I know that sounds really dumb.
No,
but
I love this kid.
I look.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. That is it's like a fair statement.
I don't want to be one of those fruity guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
like my berry cigars.
I was expecting to say, Jose, I like the freaking acid. Like, you know what I mean? That shit's my jam.
Do you have any blondies?
Jeff can't smoke infused cigars. He wears his hat backwards. It's just one of those things.
It wouldn't look right.
It wouldn't
on
look
you.
right.
Sorry.
So, Jeff, have you had the Neanderthal from Romacraft?
Ooh.
That I went to a cigar lounge in Lincoln yesterday after work, and that's what I was going in there for. But they didn't have Romacraft. I didn't realize that they were like a Drew Estate lounge. So I can't remember what I got, but I basically I don't know. I always feel so dumb. Like I go in there and I say like, hey, I want like something, medium full, really spicy. And I go like, knock my dick in the dirt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it's like, all right, well, just give me what you think is good.
So
because
It sounds like you're more, I want to say like strength, full body, like, because the other thing I just thought of was the Deadwood line,
Yes.
where they're not infused. It's almost like pipe tobacco, I believe, that they use in those Deadwood cigars, like the Crazy Alice, the Leather Rose, right? And they do have a strong. They're delicious. I mean, I like the Leather Rose. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good. It's not infused, but from what you're saying, it's more like the strength, like that strong pepper flavor. Is that accurate or no?
Yeah, you know what? Like this will sound really weird with like having the glaucoma. I've had a lot of eye surgeries, and one thing I found out through those was they just told me some people are just born like this. Like, you know, if you've ever had a surgery and they give you the anesthesia and they say, okay, count down from 10 and then you're out. I have to tell them my tolerance is so high. You have to hit me like a bear. And every time they'll, oh yeah, okay, count down, and I'll get to 0 and be like, I'm sitting here. It will not put me out. So sometimes it's just like the strength to, I mean, just let me feel something, you know, give me a buzz. It sounds like an addict, but I mean, it's like when I sit okay, that's another thing. I didn't realize till I started working on the road how much people drink in Nebraska. I think I was trained. When I would go to parties and stuff, I would show up with alcohol and they're like, did you bring that for everybody? I'm like, no, I brought this for me. And they're like, oh, like, then it's like the humming, like, oh my God, can you believe we did that? And it's just, that's all there is to do here.
Sure.
That's right.
When you guys were talking before, I said, I'll be right back. I had to go get another beer. I had made a drink. I had to go get another beer because I knew there's no way I'm going to make it through this thing on this one drink. And I made it extra tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Highball. That's right.
It's like near in Nebraska, get a fifth of Jack and watch the corn blow in the wind.
Yep, especially like this. I mean,
nice.
You guys probably know it with snow and stuff. I mean, there was a point in time this winter where, I mean, me, especially being next to a cornfield, I mean, we couldn't even get out of our driveway. I mean, no matter, I couldn't keep up with it. And you just always you live like you're going to be stuck in there. We have a full pantry in our basement. And so when everybody's like, oh, we're snowed in or the power's out, it's like, I'm fine. I have backup generators and food to last for months. We're good. But I mean, it's normal, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need that course here in Texas because we get this once a year or once every decade, Snowmageddon, and people here they forgot all of their Boy Scouts or wildlife living regiment because, boy, people here was freaking out.
Yeah. It sounds like Drew's boy is weed whacking now. So
I know. I wasn't going to say anything.
That's good. Johnny's like freaking rolling his eyes saying, God,
this guy does a three-piece.
Electric trimmer, I can tell from the sound.
No. He does a three-piece. First he goes around with the weed whacker, comes back around with the lawnmower, then now he's coming around he doesn't rake up shit. He blows it all with his blower. That's what you hear right now.
He blows out the Drew's property for telling him to stop it all. That's all right.
Landscaping
Joe.
wars in Texas.
It's all good. You know, Johnny will do what he can do. It's all good. I'm like, dude, just post it. We're all good. It's
all right.
good.
So I'm going to propose a question to you and Drew.
Okay.
For Jeff, right?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Strongest stick, because he talked about strength, and I think you've said it more than once on this interview. You want something that's going to get you a little buzzed, right? So strongest sticks you can think of. Like I'll go first because I proposed the question, right?
I already have mine. Yeah.
I can't remember who makes it, and I'm embarrassed. I can't remember, but the Wanderlust. The Wanderlust. It's a blue band. I'm gonna find them and send them to you.
That's
Jeff.
one of your stick chases.
No, I can't smoke. I smoked one, and I can't smoke it ever again. That sucker was way too strong for me. So that's my pick. Is, man, if you can smoke that, you're a saint.
Hoya de Nicaragua.
Oh,
definitely go for the Hoya de Nicaragua. Doesn't break the bank. True Nica all the way.
Oh yeah, LFD double harrow.
Yes, yes,
excellent choice, Drew.
Woo! That's a good choice there too. Yeah, absolutely. If you're into that Swanky Drew Lounge over there in Nebraska, try some of the Herrera Estelís next time you're there. I'm not gonna say which color. Get both.
I was gonna say I like is the blue is that the Brazilian one?
Yeah. Oh, actually, you just triggered something in my mind too. CAO came out with a new stick. It's called the Jobra. Hold on, Jobra. I don't know.
This is the Jeff Consulting Show.
I might be. No, I might be close. I might be close. No. CAO. Hold on. It's the Zocalo. So it's spelled Zocalo, but it's pronounced Zocalo. The Mexican San Andreas. We'll do that as well. CAO Brasilia.
I have quite a few tubs of those.
Yeah.
I really love those.
Yeah, CAO Brasilia. We'll also hold on. I have one more, Drew. The La Gloria Cubana.
Which one?
Don't do like La Beju. Just do straight up like La Gloria Cubana Series R. We'll do the trick too.
Nice.
To give you some of that punch. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. No, I was going to add the Arturo Fuente Anejo.
Yes.
That's a nice one to have. The Oliva Blend Master, the Master Blend, I think it's called. I like the La Beju by my father. I think that's got some punch to it.
Yeah.
And then you go over to Eric Espinoza, who's basically like Skip Martin's world, where they're
the 601s. Yeah.
Yep. The La Bamba.
Yeah. Yep.
What about Drew mentioned LFD? What about the Alma Fuertes? Those are great too.
Fuertes, yeah. The Alma Fuertes are nice.
Yeah. Definitely. This too right here. The PDM. The Paula Del Mar. The Corojo. See, with you, you're gonna have to focus on wrapper as well, wrapper, to get those nuances, because most of the flavors will come from the wrapper. And I also might say, because of the situation, focus on size. Don't do anything larger than a 54.
Size matters.
You know what I mean? Don't do anything than a 54, because most of the flavor comes from the wrapper. And if you get a bigger ring gauge, I don't know if you like bigger ring gauges or whatnot, but if you like bigger ring gauges, the flavor is not going to be there for a regular person as much as it would be if it was a Robusto or like a Toro size.
That's an interesting question, though, with someone that has different palates than us. I mean, we all have different palates anyway, right? But do you find that you lean towards certain Vitolas more than others because you get more flavor out of that wrapper, or it's not? It doesn't really matter.
When I look at, like, when you were talking about like more like Nicaraguan, I'm talking like my dad, based cigars. I'm usually all about that, because you're exactly right. Like, when I started to actually write down, or I would type like an information page of each cigar that I had bought, and would see like, why is this better than the last one? And I would see like, oh, because the wrapper is this. Oh, because this is in it. This is how the size, like you said. I've been amazed at how much of a difference it makes, because when I first started smoking cigars, I just always thought it was time. Like, do you want a small one because you only have an hour, or do you want a big one because you got all day? Yeah. I had no idea about, strength will actually vary by how the ring gauge.
Yep. Yeah. Also, most of the sizes for blends are made for Robusto Toro, but in order Toro Robusto. You know what I mean? And then they just make it available in the size because it sells. Even though the best, tastiest ones are the Lanceros. But any retailer would tell you that the Lanceros don't sell, which is crazy. So what the hell do I know?
The other one I'll throw your way there is the Ashton VSG. It's affordable. It's a full body cigar, but you really get a nice Lajero kick in that, and then you get a lot of pepper, white pepper, green pepper. You just go through it goes through the anomaly.
That's a great stick.
It goes through this. It's a really good stick, and then really you can give those out to your friend who wants to try a heavy body cigar and it won't break the bank.
So that's interesting. How much are they in? Because I don't find them up here in the Northeast. They're like almost $15 here.
Oh gosh!
Up in the Northeast.
Wow. Okay.
I think the cheapest I've ever paid is like $13. Wow. Difference. Taxes.
Yeah.
Taxes.
You also thinking you might be able to go for shit. I just had it and lost it. It's okay. It'll come back. It'll come back. I know it will. It usually does.
That hat is fire.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I'm trying to distract you so you get your thought back.
Right.
Stretch it out.
Yeah.
Stretch it out.
So getting back to your products, right? What's like on your wish list to create? You're like, this is a project that I'd like to kind of expand to.
Yeah,
or,
you going outside ashtrays?
Yeah.
I do a couple of products that, like, my wife is really just has the decorating bug. And I mean, just whenever I make something and I go, do you think this looks good? Do you like this? I'll take her to the wood stores with me and be like, what would you, because it's the same thing with clothes. I mean, it's like women have the sense. I mean, they have a stronger, with their rods and cones in their eyes, they have more definition and color. That's why if I say, oh, it's green, my wife goes, no, it's actually, it's a sage green. It's because she can see it. I can't see the difference. It's green.
That sounds like a conversation in my house.
But like, as far as one thing that I've been trying to work on pretty much since the beginning, like with having glaucoma, I mean, I'm night blind. I can, when I walk through my house at night, I can't look straight at stuff. I have to look either above it or below it to see it. And that's if I can even see it. So one thing that I've been trying to make is, like, with Nebraska, you flip on the floodlight on the deck to go grill or something. I mean, it's just bugs everywhere. And like, we're a state where the mosquito is a state bird. So one thing I've been trying to come up with is an ashtray that it essentially lights. It's a LED controlled light from the bottom. So it has enough output that you can see what you're doing in the dark, but you're not bright enough to attract insects.
Huh. That'd be great for camping.
Yeah. I mean, it's a durability is the problem of, can this handle being dropped or rain, luckily with LED, the water is not going to affect it, but like, can it handle if somebody left it out by accident, so the testing on that takes a while, and then making it work. And then at the end of the day, I get plenty of jokes for this, but I mean, it is an art to me. I was raised by a mother who was always, you guys need to be doing art, coloring, drawing, music. I mean, so when I look at this stuff, I want it to be a showpiece, a conversation piece. I want somebody to go like, damn, that is slick.
Yeah. That sounds like, now we get into the child advice. That sounds like my son when he's 2.5. And he's like, I'm like, why don't you draw daddy a picture? And he draws like a line. He goes, I'm done. I go, I think you should do a little bit more. I think you should do a little bit more. Next thing you know, I'm dragging it out, right? I think you should put something else on there. Put a dinosaur. You want a big one? Yeah, real big dinosaur. Well, now the dinosaur has to eat, so we need to do a tree. I don't want to do a tree. This is a meat eater. Oh, it's a meat eater because he's starting. He knows it all. He's ready for college tomorrow, right? It's a meat. It doesn't need a tree, daddy, because it eats meat. That's a good point. Why don't you draw another dinosaur so we can get
the other dinosaur?
She's like, stop it! Like, what I mean? Stop it!
It's getting morbid.
I don't know, but yeah, that's the stick that I had in mind was the Alec Bradley Esteli series.
I think
punchy, very, very punchy cigar.
I think that's one that I have that I just got.
Yeah, see,
not too long ago.
Yeah, you're on the right path.
I just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. You got the Esteli or the Black Market by Alec Bradley as well.
Oh, that's a great one. Also, the Black Market.
It's important with these heavy body cigars is the cadence, that you're going to smoke it at. So that's one of the things that I mean, you've been smoking cigars for a while.
Now Drew has airplanes above him.
I know.
Yeah,
It's all good, Drew.
One thing, I'm telling you, man, it just doesn't
I
stop.
thought Texas was
What
wide
happens-
and open. What's going on here?
Well, I live about 3 miles from DFW Airport, and I live in a city called Irving. So I'm in my cigar garden over here, and I get everything. I got ducks. I got ducks right now flying in from wherever.
Well, because now because the ducks want the grass clippings from your neighbor, so they can make a bed or a nest and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Birds are going around.
There's smoking cadence on these heavy body cigars. Definitely take your time with them when you can, because you'll pick up on all the small details and nuances that those cigars have to offer for sure.
Yeah. One thing that I have enjoyed about being on Instagram now is like sometimes when I come out of my garage when my daughter's like taking her afternoon nap is I follow so many cigar people that they'll just have like, they'll go live and smoke and talk together. And I've joined quite a few people on video talking, just sitting around bullshitting with them. And because I just really do enjoy a good conversation. And one thing we were talking about, I met these guys from Michigan the other day. I was saying how I'm really the only person in my family on both, like my wife's family, my family, that smokes cigars. So whenever I pull one out, it's like I'm a circus show. Like everybody has to point out like, oh, you got a cigar, huh? It's like, you guys have smoked 30 cigarettes since I've been here. I mean, it's always pointed out.
Yep.
But what I told them, was I had made the comment, oh, I'm glad I had a really big lunch, because if I hadn't stopped and eaten before I came over to my mother-in-law's house, this shit would put me down for the afternoon. And they don't understand it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And plus the cigars keeps the mosquitoes away.
That they do.
I'm convinced it prevents COVID too.
Well,
They do.
yeah.
I take I always make the joke that I have to take shots of Fireball to keep COVID out of my system.
There you go.
That stuff will kill anything. That's big in Nebraska.
The Fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I think America's the only country that allows it to still be made with antifreeze, so it'll kill anything.
What type of woods are you using? I mean, I know I see on website there you got some walnut but what other woods are you using?
We do quite a bit of northern pine, and then it's a range in softness and hardness, and what that means is it's like if you take a northern pine and you hit it with a hammer, you're going to see that mark. I mean, it will leave an indent pretty big. But you hit like walnut with a hammer, you're probably not even going to see the indentation because it's such a hard, concentrated, tightly grained wood. And that's the real nerdy side of it. But you have to understand a lot of that when you're cutting it. Just like if you're going to cut aluminum to steel, it's a softer steel. But we use curly cherry, which I like because it's a cherry wood, so it's got a nice color, but it has they call it curly. It's because the grain, the way that it comes up, it gives you like a really oddball kind of texture, unique. A lot of walnut, just because people just love walnut right now. It sounds weird to say, but it's kind of an in wood. Yeah. What else? A lot of, I get this stuff from the East, the Appalachian area. It's Appalachian maple. It stains good. It cuts good. I mean, it's worth paying the extra money to get quality wood. And luckily, we live in an era where it's just a click away. You don't have to hunt a lot of this stuff down like you used to have to.
Yeah, I was looking on your website. I like that. I like that custom single letter double smoke. That wood really pops out nicely. I mean, you can see the grains really nice and looks natural, and that looks nice. And I also like the engraved walnut puro cigar ashtray because of the darkness of the wood. Now, I mean, is there anything on there that's coated, or is it stained, or is that just
they all are coated, and it's coated in wax. So I mean, it's all food safe. It's not gonna harm you if for some reason you licked it or something. I don't know, but They're all coated. A lot of really the only one that's stained is that Cabin Fever. And that was just me experimenting because maple takes stain pretty well. But for the most part, I try and keep the natural finish. Like with walnut, it's more of an oil-based coating. And then the wax it gives it a protectant and it gets rid of that stickiness. Like I have my no offense to her, but like my sister-in-law, she found this little rocking chair for my daughter and it's cute and she painted it. But the problem is that she just painted it and didn't seal it. So now it's like anytime you touch it a year later, it's still sticky because
tacky,
paint. Yeah. I mean, and it's covered in whatever was on my daughter's fingers when she sat on it because the paint just grabs it.
Yeah, are you going to get in trouble if you sand it and put a wax-based finish on that?
Yeah.
I don't want to have any, have you say, Joe, I took your advice and now I'm like living in my garage.
Well, I always say like I came from the Brady Bunch because my dad raised me and my two brothers, and then my wife was raised by her mom and two sisters. So I was always just used to the easy life of all guys. And it's funny because my list of things to build for all of them is endless. I mean, I could I could pretty much do whatever I want because if that list keeps getting filled of Jeff, please make this, it's kind of my get out of jail free card.
Right.
There you go. I like it.
I want one of those Modern Ease single ones. Those are badass. I'm gonna have to get a couple of those.
That was another thing with the testing. It was okay. Well, the phone fits. The phone is not blocked, but I've listened to too much music and now my phone's dead. I can't get a charger cable in there. So that's where that took quite a while of trial and error to get that to fit every phone, but you can at least sneak a cable up in there if you wanted to charge it while it was in the resting or mounting position, I guess.
Yeah, I could see some of those in my lounge for sure for some of my patrons, my club members. That they'd love that.
So I got a comment and a question if I can, Joe.
Yeah,
go ahead.
All right. Comment first. I'm like on my high horse right now because this is going to go, it's going to make Joe's head explode. So I went out on Instagram and turns out you're already following me on Instagram. So shame on me. I had to click follow back. I'm following you back.
Internet sensation.
Right? Turns out GSTN Cigar is already following cigar_squad, Cigar Squad. We rock.
Nice.
So go check them out, GSTN Cigar on Instagram, 100%. Their product. I want to go back to the company. My question is related to the company. Like Drew said, Drew's been doing. I've been looking through your stuff. What does GSTN stand for? What is that name?
Really, dude? Like you can't figure that out?
No, I can't.
Good, because either could my
GSTN. I have no idea what that stands for.
I would call her my grandma. She came up to my shirt the other day, and she goes, "What?" She like pointed at my chest. What does this mean? I go, "It's my last name without the vowels."
Right.
Without the vowels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I didn't know.
Oh my God, that's like the first thing I did, and I noticed for the product.
All right. Well, I'm retarded. What do you want from me?
The reason is because my entire life, every time I say, I almost put it in like the bio that I had emailed in is yes, it's Gaston, like the Beauty and the Beast character. I get that
Gaston.
everywhere I
Really?
go. Gaston everywhere.
Gaston.
When I would work in the oil fields, I mean, I'm talking the biggest, burliest dudes would come up to me and Gaston, like the Beauty and the Beast character. It's like, how the fuck do you know a Disney cartoon from when I was a kid?
That's what they bring up. That's the analogy.
Because they probably have kids, and then they go home.
Yep.
They're like freaking watching it, and you know what I mean. Like, dude, like my son got a new bathing suit yesterday.
Well, and then one last thing, I'm going to do a little plug for you, Jeff. This is totally unsolicited.
Plug from internet sensation.
Right? I'm telling you, hey, listen, I love.
I'll
cigar.
take it.
I love cigar swag. Love it. I love. The reason I love your product in particular is it's different, right? It's for me. It's just for one person. It has the phone shit, the cup. I mean, it's awesome. I like it. It's different. I like anything that's different. But I was looking through your site. Your hats are awesome, man. Even your hats are awesome. So if you're a hat guy, go check out his shop. He's got some great hats on there with the GSTN logo.
I didn't see
Yeah, I'm
see, you got to look.
I'm psychotic about even the merch. Like the hats. I have equipment to purchase probably next year to at least try and start making them, because I have ideas that some hat companies don't do. Like you see my hat, like it's.
No, I don't. There it is.
Right. Like it's got this is an older one. I really like it. But I mean, you can't really tell in the video. My hair is crazy. Like my hair gets really long. So I always wear a hat just to keep my hair out of my face. So, and there's nothing here. Like, we can't stitch anything up here or down here. You know what I mean? Like they have their logo, but why can't I have mine? I mean, but even like we've started, I have my wife doing it, but like we've started making our own merchandise, because I was kind of buying stuff in the beginning and I was like, man, this shirt, the quality sucks. So I've started buying my own wholesale to, test it out. Does it shrink? Is it soft? Does it fit well? Does it, is it the size that it is? Can it handle labels, ink, before we start putting it out? Because it sounds so stupid to say it all the time, but I mean, it's just quality. I get so pissed when people just phone stuff in, and I just want good quality products out
and it's
there.
a reflection of your company, right? Even though it's just merch. And I mean, I don't know how we're getting on this merch thing. I guess it's kind of my fault, but you're absolutely right. Like if I got a shirt from you, or like I love trucker caps, so like I'm definitely gonna be picking one up. But if I got that and it was a piece of shit, I'd be like, what the hell is his ashtrays like then?
Yep.
If he doesn't care about quality on his own merch.
It's like a bathroom in a restaurant. If your bathroom is disgusting, how great is the restaurant?
And I'm saying that like I will not say who it is. I'll tell Joe off the air, but I recently got a t-shirt from a cigar brand, and I know like shitty wholesale t-shirt brands, the label, and that's what it was. It was just a shitty t-shirt. They printed their logo on it, and I'm like, really? Like you're charging $25 for this? That's crazy.
It is crazy. We have crazy. This whole industry's crazy.
You okay?
Yeah. I'm all right.
Yeah, his trucker hats are nice. I found them.
I think we just lost Joe. I don't know what's going on.
Nelson is very upset about his shirt.
I got a shitty shirt, man.
No?
Jeff doesn't do that.
There you go.
No, I get it 100%. It just, it is. I take a lot of anxiety medicine. I am a very anxious guy, and it is a lot for me to put myself personally on Instagram. And it's like the post that I put up this morning talking about, just things that I believe in. That is truly what I still believe in, that America is what it was, the foundation it was built on. Like when you look back at the old days of manufacturing and everything that we've come through, I mean, it's just, we're so focused in our country on so many things that aren't really helping us build the country. I mean, we definitely need to keep progressing, but I mean, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. I read a lot, and I just read this. It was a great book. I can't remember the title of it, but it was basically explaining how China is increasing their economy so fast. And it's just because they're just copying what America has done. They don't have to go through all of the trial and error that we did. Yep. They're saying, oh, that worked and that didn't. Let's do that. So they're us in the 50s and 40s and 50s, but now they can jump to 2020 because we have already laid out the blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. That charcuterie board is freaking awesome. I'm going to have to get me one of those too.
Yeah, you got to check out the site. There's a lot of stuff on there. But, going back to what you just said, so I was, one of the questions I had was, is this, I guess I'll just say it the way it's popped in my head, which is this still fun for you, right? So I'm thinking when you started this, right, you're like, I'm handcrafting this stuff, right? You said you were doing probably more than 50% manual work. Now I think you said it's at 25%. But is it still fun, right? And I'm saying that, like, yeah. I'm sort of probably where you started right now for me. I do laser engraving, but I do it because it's fun, right? I buy crap, I laser engrave it, I'll sell it to friends, but I'm not looking to make money out of it, right? But like this is now, like you said, unexpectedly to some extent, turned into a business, right? You're like, what the hell? People want to buy my stuff.
Yeah, the answer is yes. It is still fun, and I luckily learned a lot of lessons when I was a kid. Like when I owned my own DJ company, I stopped.
Yeah,
because it got to a point to where it wasn't fun. It was work. When I started, I was doing gigs for beer when I was underage. It's like, you're going to pay me in beer? Okay.
Yes. Hell yeah.
And that I look back, I'm like, man, that was so much fun back there. Look at those old photos. And then it just got to a point to where it was almost like I was like relying on the income. And that was one of those things I kind of swore I would never do again. So I've told my wife over and over, I definitely, being raised by my dad, I love to work. I work like 7 days a week. I always work. It's just what I like to do. But I have no intention of even hiring an employee. If it gets to that point, I'll just back it down and say there's only, set amount available, and that's all that I can do, because I just want it. I've seen a lot of. I started with so many companies in Nebraska that I used to work for that were the mom and pop shops, and then they got so big and they lost what they stood for.
Yep.
And what they were about, and the family environment disappeared. And like I said too, I got divorced because when I worked on the road, I was gone 350 plus days a year. I was only back for Christmas, 4th of July. And if I was back, it was for that day. And then that morning I was flying back out. So it's no question why I got divorced. I was never around. And then when I, got a job where I was at home, working 40 hours a week, that what is a normal job. And now, like, my favorite part of the day is picking my daughter up from daycare, or, on the weekends, being able to play with my daughter and be with my wife. And that, again, it's like the quality thing. It sounds like, well, duh, but not a lot of people do it. And,
right.
And I saw so many people in the oil industry that had kids that they had no connection with, and wives that they, guys who had girlfriends in every town, but still had a wife back home. And it didn't matter how much money they made. They were never happy.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, after Stogie Geeks, I'll go next door to a cigar shop. I'll have a stick, but like, I want to be home for 6 o'clock, when I can, it's Friday, right?
Family time.
So we,
Yep.
my son goes to bed at 8:30. Now that we have daylight saving times, it's 9:30. I'm trying to work on that because kids don't wear a watch, right? Last Friday it was 9:47, and I finally got them off. And my mom's like, "It's so late." Like, because she said, I call my mom after the son goes to bed, because usually on Saturday or Sunday she'll take them, and they'll go do their thing and whatnot. And it's like, and she's like, is he okay? I'm like, you don't wear a watch. It's freaking 8. It's 8:47 according to him. You know what I mean? Like, but I enjoy, like tonight, he was already asking me, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to have for supper?
In the morning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my kid is crazy, right? And like, and he knows that, like, when he comes in, we're either going to play vinyl or we'll put on the Bluetooth with the Sirius radio, and, he listens to that. He picks some of the stations sometimes, because he listens to some things, obviously we don't listen to some of the music that I really like, but I pick like, Jimmy Buffett or the Margaritaville or the 80s channel, just stuff like that, or we'll do vinyl, or we'll listen to some blues or some jazz and do that, and we'll sit down as a family and eat, whether it's takeout or not or whatever. But the family, then we'll do circle time where we'll do our thing and hang out as a family, read some stories. He'll do an activity. Sometimes he likes his little tablet, gonna monitor that, doing that there, and then he'll go off to bed, and and it's just family time, and I look forward to that.
You really value that, right?
I value that because it's like, it's your kid, it's your kid, it's your family. It's just what you do. Now, Nelson has teenagers. He's like, don't worry, it's gonna end.
No, it's funny. No, but he's right. Like, it's interesting. Like yesterday, I was telling Joe earlier before we got on the show. It was really nice here in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area. It was like 70 degrees, and I went out and I was playing street hockey with my two teenage boys in the street. And you know what? It was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It was like 35, 40 minutes, whatever. But you like, to your point, like, you work your ass off all day. You have, like, I'm convinced every man has to have a side thing. Like, I'm just convinced of that, right? So we all have our side things, but like that time, and I think almost because of that, you appreciate those moments more, right? Because you're like, this is my time. I'm with my kids, and you're just appreciating it. You do your other shit, right? Because you got to do stuff that you appreciate too. Like I said, you're woodworking. I mean, I wish I had your talent, right? I would love to do that. I have a machine do my shit for me, but whatever, right? We all have our hobbies, but that time, like, I totally understand what Joe was saying. Like, that time you have with Caden, at this time I'm going to be with my kid and I'm going to spend this time. What the hell is this, Stogie Geeks? What the hell is this, Dr. Phil?
No, I said we were going to get rid of it.
It's good.
It gets better. It gets better. Drew has a grandson who's a month older than
you.
Caden.
Have a grandson?
Yeah, who's a month older than Caden. His name is Mateo. And Mateo and Drew, the same thing. The good news is Drew can take him home.
Shit, that's news for me.
Drew can take the kid home. Like, Drew's like, oh yeah, it's great, but he can take him home to his parents. It's like my mom. Like my kid. My kid's gonna come home tomorrow, and I hope he doesn't have a lot of sugar, or I gave him chocolate milk, or
Grandpa Drew, I had no idea.
Oh,
That's right.
dude.
That's right, man. I'm up there. 2 grandkids, got a granddaughter and a grandson.
You old bastard.
I'm enjoying it. because I'm watching my son, with all the, the pop, he's doing all the dad stuff. It was fun. It's fun to watch that, growth, from, you had the kids when they were little, then they go through high school, then they become a young adult, and then they become get married and have kids, and it's pretty cool.
Jeff, wait till your kid starts driving.
Oh my God.
It's frightening, brother.
Well, the good news is he'll be in Nebraska.
It's frightening. Yeah, my kid's driving in Massachusetts. We're known as massholes.
You in Nebraska, I mean, I think I started driving when I was 13.
Sure.
And it was all gravel. Like my Sundays with my dad, grew up with my dad. My parents divorced when I was like, I don't know, 6th grade. And my Sundays we would take my dad's truck out. His house that he grew up in as a kid in the town was like 20 miles outside of the town that he still lives in. And it was on a farmland. It's still run down, but it's there. So he would just drive out there and, look at it and talk. He would tell me a story, and then we would cruise back on gravel roads back in the town, and we hit the pavement and he would take over. But I mean, those were some of the greatest times of my life. But
right,
I mean,
right on.
Talk about learning how to drive on gravel. You can drive on gravel. You can pretty much drive on anything and snow.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Jeff, best of luck to you in the business for sure. It's a super cool product. Like I said, when I received it, it's something that I will always treasure. Stogie Geeks, you can check this out. This is a fine piece of art over here. Maybe next year it'll say made in Nebraska, USA. Drew will do the consultant on how big Nebraska should be and all of that type stuff.
Not bigger than Texas.
Right? No, yeah, it can't be as big as Texas, but that's the first thing I thought about with Drew. I was like, oh yeah, Drew be making made in Irving, Texas. You know what I mean? Proudly made in Irving, the Texas flag hanging in Texas, there.
That's right.
That was, I forgot. I was going to say that earlier. Like, I've worked in Texas a lot, and it's one of my favorite states. My wife and I have always talked about retiring down there just because we both love it. And when you go there, I mean, it's everything. It's its own country. Texas is Texas. Like when I would stay in the hotels, the waffle maker is the shape of Texas.
Yeah, that's right. That's mandatory.
But in Nebraska, I mean, it's there. Everyone's like, yeah, I get it, man. I'm sorry. That's what they say when you cross. I'm sorry. There's nothing here.
But you got a lot of time for you. You get less distraction.
That's for sure.
You definitely get less distraction. Well, Jeff, we certainly gave you a list of cigars to go out there and to seek. Definitely keep in touch with us. Any product announcements or whatever you want to send our way, go for it. Stogie Geeks, I want to encourage you to go to GSTNcigar.com. Check out some of the products. Retailers, makes a great gift. It's something that I will always treasure. And when you treat yourself to this, you will always treasure it as well. Jeff, thank you for appearing on Stogie Geeks. Please keep in touch with us. Stogie Geeks, when we come back, Sticks of the Week with some commentary. We're going to take a quick break.